There are moments in life when your soul feels weary, when your prayers seem to echo into the silence, and your faith begins to tremble beneath the weight of waiting. You look around and see others walking into their blessings while your heart whispers, "Lord, when will it be my turn?" In those quiet hours of longing, it's easy to wonder if heaven has gone still, if perhaps your prayers have been lost in the wind. But what if I told you that God has been listening the entire time? That even now, in this very moment, He is preparing to answer you in a way so unexpected, so divine, that it will leave you speechless in awe of His power. Sometimes, before the greatest miracle unfolds, there is a silence so deep that it almost feels unbearable. But that silence is not emptiness. It is the sound of heaven rearranging your story. It's the moment before the dawn breaks, when the darkness is at its heaviest. And in that stillness, God is whispering, "Hold on, I am not done with you yet." You see, the miracles of God rarely come when we expect them. They arrive suddenly, breaking through the ordinary days of our lives with the extraordinary light of His promise. This message is not just words, it's a reminder from the heart of God that your story is about to shift. You've cried, you've waited, you've believed even when it hurt, and now heaven is about to respond. The same God who turned water into wine, who opened blind eyes, who called Lazarus from the tomb, is still writing miracles into the lives of those who trust Him. The delay was never denial, it was preparation. The silence was never abandonment, it was alignment. Every moment you thought was wasted was actually divine timing in disguise. So as you listen to these words, open your heart to believe again. Let faith rise where fear once lived. Let hope breathe again in the corners of your soul that have grown quiet. Because God is not finished with you. He is about to surprise you, restore you, and bless you in ways you didn't even know to ask for. The miracle you've been praying for might not come the way you imagined, but it will come with the power to change everything. Stay with this message till the end, because before this moment is over, your spirit will remember that the God of the impossible is still moving, still speaking, and still making a way where there seems to be none. When life seems to stand still and your prayers appear unanswered, it's easy to think God has forgotten you. But the truth is, God's timing is never late. He is the master of perfect seasons, and what may look like delay to you is divine orchestration to Him. Every second in God's calendar has meaning, and when He says the time is right, no force in heaven or on earth can stop His will from unfolding. You may be standing in a season where you've been waiting for breakthrough, healing, restoration, or direction. The waiting room of faith can feel lonely and endless. You look around and see others moving ahead while your situation stays the same. You wonder if God has passed you by. But remember, God is not ignoring you. He is aligning everything in your life for a purpose that will soon make sense. God works differently than our expectations. He does not rush because He sees the full picture while we only see the moment. Sometimes, He allows certain doors to remain closed because He knows the weight of what you are asking for requires stronger foundations. Waiting is not wasted time when God is in it. It is sacred time where He is shaping your heart, deepening your trust, and preparing you for what is coming. You may think nothing is happening, but in reality, heaven is moving pieces behind the scenes. God is setting up connections, opportunities, and moments that will meet you at the appointed hour. The reason His timing feels late is because we measure it by human clocks, but He moves according to eternity. Abraham waited decades for a promise that seemed impossible. Yet when the time came, it happened exactly as God said. Joseph spent years in prison before stepping into the palace, but when the moment of favor arrived, it happened suddenly. The same God who turned waiting into glory for them is still working the same way for you. You are not forgotten, you are being positioned. Every delay has a divine reason. Every closed door carries a hidden mercy. God's timing protects what you are meant to receive, so it doesn't arrive before you are ready to hold it. Often, impatience makes us chase blessings prematurely, but God in His mercy withholds them until they will bless and not break us. He wants you mature, steady, and faithful before He releases what He has promised. If He gives it too soon, it may become a burden instead of a blessing. So, when things take longer than expected, trust that He knows why. The process you're enduring is not punishment, it's preparation. The pain, the pauses, the unanswered prayers, and even the tears are all part of God's timeline of transformation. Sometimes God slows you down because He is saving you from unseen danger. Other times, He keeps you waiting because what He has planned for you requires time to bloom. The miracle is already written. You're just walking toward it step by step. And while you wait, God is shaping your heart to handle the weight of His blessing. Patience teaches you surrender. Waiting teaches you dependence. Both bring you closer to Him. When you finally reach the place He's been preparing, you'll look back and realize why He couldn't give it to you any sooner. You'll understand that every delay carried a hidden purpose, and every moment of waiting was a seed of faith growing quietly beneath the surface. God's timing never fails because it is never based on chance. It is based on His wisdom, love, and eternal plan for your good. What feels delayed is not denied. The appointed time for your miracle is already set, and when that divine moment arrives, everything that once seemed broken will come together in perfect harmony. God's timing is not just good, it's perfect. God often answers prayers in ways that surprise us because His ways are higher than ours. We expect Him to move in the straight path we imagine, but He often takes us through unexpected turns that lead to deeper blessings. The road to your miracle may not look like a path of success. It may look like rejection, confusion, or even loss. Yet in those moments when everything is falling apart, God is quietly building something stronger, something you cannot yet see. He is not denying your request, He is preparing the right foundation for it. What appears as a detour is often divine direction. What feels like a closed door may be God's way of leading to one that opens into something far greater than you prayed for. When God promises you something, He does not always take you there the easy way. Sometimes He allows you to walk through storms, because the wind that shakes your life today will push you toward the destination He designed for you. The Israelites could have reached the promised land in a short journey, but God took them through the wilderness. Why? Because the wilderness built faith, discipline, and dependence. If they had arrived too soon, they would not have been ready to handle the blessings waiting for them. The same truth applies to you. Every delay, every rejection, every sudden change in your path carries a hidden message from heaven. God is rerouting you towards something better than you imagined. When doors shut in your face, it is not a sign that God has forgotten you. It is His way of redirecting your steps toward the place where His promise will unfold. Many times, what we think is the right path leads only to disappointment, but God's path, though harder, leads to destiny. You may not understand it now, but someday you will look back and see that every no, every delay, and every change was necessary. What seemed unfair will become the very thing that pushed you closer to your purpose. God doesn't make mistakes in His direction. He knows how to use the unexpected to deliver the extraordinary. When life seems to turn against your plans, it could be God turning you toward His. The unexpected path often exposes what your strength cannot fix, forcing you to depend fully on Him. It strips away pride, fear, and control, teaching you to trust His voice even when the road ahead looks unfamiliar. That's when faith becomes real, when you keep walking even when you don't know where it leads. God delights in using the unexpected because it reveals His power in a way that human understanding cannot explain. When you finally arrive at the blessing, you will know it was not your wisdom or your plan that got you there. It was His mercy guiding your every step. Many of the greatest miracles in Scripture came from unexpected paths. Joseph became a ruler after being betrayed and imprisoned. Ruth found her destiny through loss and loyalty. Mary carried salvation through a situation that seemed impossible. Each of them walked through uncertainty before stepping into divine fulfillment. Their stories remind us that God's answers rarely come in the way we expect, but they always arrive in the way that fulfills His perfect plan. So, when your path doesn't look like progress, remember that God might be leading you through a road that will reveal His glory. The disappointment you face now may be the very doorway to a miracle you didn't see coming. Trust that He knows what He's doing. The unexpected path is not random. It is a carefully written chapter in your story that will make His faithfulness undeniable. God's answers may surprise you, but they will never fail you. There are moments in life when the silence of God feels heavier than the storms you face. You pray, you wait, and you hear nothing. Heaven seems quiet, and it begins to make you wonder if your prayers have gone unheard. But silence is not abandonment. When God is silent, He is still speaking, just not in the way you expect. His silence often carries deeper purpose, shaping your faith, strengthening your spirit, and teaching you to trust His heart even when His voice cannot be heard. Faith is not built in the noise of answers, but in the quiet space of waiting. It is in that stillness that your trust is tested, and your relationship with Him matures beyond emotions. When God is silent, it doesn't mean He has withdrawn His hand. Sometimes He stops speaking because He already gave you a word, and now He wants to see if you will walk in it. Faith is not proven when everything makes sense. It's proven when nothing does. The silence is a classroom where endurance is taught and dependence is deepened. God is still there, guiding you, even when you can't feel Him. Like a teacher who stays quiet during a test, He remains present, watching to see if you've learned to lean on what He already taught you. In that silence, you begin to realize that God's presence is not always about sound, it's about trust. There are seasons where everything seems still, and your prayers feel like echoes in an empty room. Those are the moments when God is building something unshakable inside you. You may not see it, but He's strengthening your patience, building your endurance, and purifying your motives. Sometimes He doesn't answer right away because He wants your faith to outgrow your need for constant reassurance. You learn to love Him for who He is, not only for what He gives. You begin to see that your relationship with Him isn't built on the thrill of blessings, but on the peace of knowing He is good, even when you don't see the outcome. The silence of God can be painful, but it also carries beauty. It's in the silence that you start to hear what truly matters. The whisper of His Spirit in your heart, the quiet comfort that keeps you going, the calm assurance that He hasn't left you. Even when your prayers seem unanswered, His grace is still sustaining you day by day. The very breath in your lungs is proof that He's still working. You may not see the full picture, but each day of waiting adds a brushstroke to the masterpiece He is painting with your life. The silence is not empty, it is full of unseen activity from heaven. Look at the lives of those who came before us. Job sat in silence for months, feeling abandoned, yet God was writing one of the greatest testimonies of endurance ever told. David wept in caves, crying for deliverance, yet those quiet seasons became the songs that still comfort millions today. Even Jesus faced silence in Gethsemane, but through that silence came the greatest victory for all humanity. God's silence does not mean He is absent. It means He is preparing to reveal something that words alone cannot express. If you're walking through silence right now, hold on. Do not mistake stillness for neglect. God is nearer than you think. He is teaching you to recognize His presence beyond feelings and to anchor your hope in His promises rather than in immediate results. The silence is not a punishment. It is a sacred invitation to deepen your faith. When God finally speaks or when He finally moves, you will understand why He stayed quiet. You will see that in His silence, He was shaping your soul, preparing you for blessings that could only be received through faith refined by trust. Every great miracle in life is usually preceded by a moment of testing. Before God brings something extraordinary into your life, He first allows circumstances to refine you. The test is not meant to destroy you, but to prove the strength of your faith and to prepare your heart for what you have prayed for. God never sends blessings without first ensuring you are ready to carry them. The testing season may feel painful, confusing, and unfair, but it carries divine purpose. It's in those moments when your patience is stretched and your hope feels weak that your faith is truly revealed. The test before the miracle is the bridge that separates ordinary belief from extraordinary trust. God uses tests to separate genuine faith from shallow emotion. Anyone can praise Him when everything is easy, but real faith is born in struggle. It's proven in those nights when tears fall and prayers seem unanswered, yet you still choose to believe. The trials that come before your breakthrough are God's way of shaping your character to match the size of your calling. He is more interested in who you become than in what you receive. Every test refines you, removing pride, fear, doubt, and dependence on the world. Through pressure, He strengthens your foundation, so when the blessing arrives, you won't crumble under its weight. Think of how God tested Abraham by asking him to sacrifice Isaac, the very promise he had waited for. It was not because God wanted to take the blessing back, but because He wanted to see if Abraham's faith was in the gift or in the giver. When Abraham chose obedience over understanding, he unlocked a new level of divine favor. The test revealed the depth of his trust, and God responded with miraculous provision. The same principle applies to you. Sometimes God allows what you love most to be tested, not to hurt you, but to prove that your heart belongs fully to Him. When you remain faithful in uncertainty, you prove that your worship is genuine. Every person who ever experienced a divine miracle first walked through a test. Joseph was tested by betrayal and imprisonment before he reached the palace. Daniel faced the lion's den before seeing deliverance. The disciples endured fear and doubt before witnessing resurrection. The pattern has never changed. Before glory, there is always a test. The greater the calling, the deeper the testing. God uses it to build humility, patience, and endurance. Without these qualities, the miracle would only be temporary. The testing process ensures the blessing will last because it has been rooted in purified faith. Tests often come disguised as delays, disappointments, or losses. They may make you question if God has left you, but those are the exact moments when He is closest. The test is a sign that something bigger is on the horizon. If you endure without giving up, you step into a level of blessing you could not have reached any other way. God is not testing you to find your weakness. He already knows your heart. He is testing you so you can see the strength He has placed inside you. The process refines your vision, sharpens your purpose, and teaches you to depend on Him completely. So when you find yourself facing challenges that seem endless, remember that you are standing in the space right before your miracle. The fire you feel today is purifying you for what's coming. Every unanswered prayer, every painful moment, every act of faith in the middle of uncertainty is preparing you for the breakthrough that's already written in heaven. God tests those He trusts, and if you are being tested, it means He is about to reveal something greater than you expected. The test is the final chapter before the miracle unfolds, and when it does, you will understand why you had to go through it. Many times, the beginning of a miracle is so quiet and ordinary that it goes unnoticed. God often works in small, hidden ways long before the visible breakthrough appears. His hand moves subtly, preparing the soil before the harvest shows. People often expect God to perform grand gestures instantly, but His miracles usually start as small signs that test your ability to recognize His presence in the details. The blessing that will one day transform your life might already be unfolding in a way that looks insignificant right now. God rarely reveals everything at once because faith grows best in mystery. He hides His biggest plans inside small beginnings so that when the miracle matures, you will know it was His power, not your strength, that made it possible. Many of God's greatest works began as something ordinary. A small cloud in the sky signaled the end of drought for Elijah. A shepherd boy's sling defeated a giant and changed a nation. 5 loaves and 2 fish fed thousands. The pattern of heaven has always been to use the small to demonstrate the great. God takes what seems small and multiplies it until everyone sees His glory. This is how faith is developed, by learning to value what seems insignificant and seeing it through the eyes of belief. Every small shift in your life could be a sign that something bigger is being prepared behind the scenes. You may not see the full miracle yet, but that doesn't mean it isn't already in motion. When you start to notice small blessings, answered prayers, or moments of peace in the middle of chaos, don't dismiss them as coincidence. They are often the early signs that God is near. Recognizing His hand in the smells gratitude and strengthens trust. It reminds you that God is not only the God of mighty victories, but also of quiet progress. Sometimes the miracle doesn't come with thunder, it comes with a whisper, a moment of clarity, a door slightly opening after months of silence. Those small beginnings carry the same power as the final breakthrough. Many lose hope because they expect the entire miracle to appear instantly. But God teaches patience through the process. The seed of your miracle may be planted, and though it's invisible now, it's growing beneath the surface. Faith requires you to believe even when you can't see movement. Just because the tree hasn't bloomed doesn't mean the roots aren't taking hold. Every prayer, every act of obedience, every moment you choose to keep believing adds life to that unseen miracle. God is working in ways your eyes can't yet perceive, and one day what He started quietly will burst into something undeniable. Sometimes God allows the miracle to unfold slowly so you can appreciate His timing and see His faithfulness at every stage. When you notice the small mercies each day, the strength to keep going, the peace that doesn't make sense, the favor that finds you unexpectedly, you begin to realize that the miracle has already started. It's no longer a distant promise. It's an unfolding reality. God never wastes a moment. The shift may begin in whispers, but it will end in wonders. So if you're in a season where nothing dramatic seems to happen, look closer. The small things, the daily grace, the moments of hope, these are not random. They are divine fingerprints marking your journey. God's hand is on your life in ways too subtle for the world to notice, but too powerful for your spirit to ignore. The small beginnings are His assurance that He has not forgotten you. The quiet shifts you sense in your spirit are the first movements of a miracle that will one day overflow into every part of your life. Recognize it, cherish it, and thank Him for it, because what starts small in His hands always grows into something beyond imagination. When God finally decides to move, everything changes in a moment. His miracles often come suddenly, breaking through the ordinary rhythm of life with divine power that no one can explain. You may wait for years, praying and holding on, thinking nothing is happening. And then suddenly, God steps in and turns everything around. The miracle He brings does not just answer one prayer, it transforms your entire direction. In one divine moment, pain becomes purpose, loss becomes restoration, and sorrow becomes joy. The waiting that once felt endless becomes a testimony of faith rewarded. When God moves, He moves completely. Sometimes it takes only one act of God to erase years of suffering. One encounter, one opportunity, one breakthrough can shift your life in ways that only heaven could design. The power of His intervention is beyond human understanding. You can try for years to make things work on your own, but what His hand can do in one instant will exceed everything you could achieve through effort alone. That is what makes divine miracles so remarkable. They remind you that God's authority still rules over time, nature, and circumstance. Nothing is too far gone for Him to restore. God delights in sudden shifts because they reveal His glory. He waits until the situation looks impossible, so that when the miracle comes, everyone knows it was His doing. The Red Sea didn't part while Israel was still safe on land. It opened when they had nowhere else to turn. Lazarus wasn't healed before death, he was resurrected after it. These moments remind us that God often waits until the last possible second to display His power. He does this not to frighten you, but to prove His word never fails. When He finally moves, it will be so clear that no one else could have made it happen. The miracle that God brings is not only an answer, it's a message. It says, "I have heard your prayers. I have seen your tears. I have not forgotten you." Every tear, every sleepless night, every step of faith becomes part of the story that leads to that divine turning point. When the miracle unfolds, you will realize it was never random. Every challenge prepared you for it. Every waiting season made your spirit strong enough to carry it. And when it comes, it will not just bless you. It will overflow into the lives of others, showing them that God is still in the business of doing the impossible. The beauty of an unexpected miracle is how it redefines your understanding of God. You stop seeing Him as distant or delayed and begin to recognize Him as intimately involved in every detail of your life. The moment His hand touches your situation, everything aligns. Opportunities, people, timing, and even your emotions. The weight of struggle lifts, and you begin to walk in a peace that only divine intervention can bring. That's when you truly see that He was never late. He was simply waiting for the right moment to show His glory through your story. If you have been standing in faith for a long time, don't lose heart. The miracle you are waiting for may be closer than you think. God often moves when hope seems lowest, because that's when His power shines brightest. He has a way of stepping into your life at the very moment you're about to give up, just to remind you that He is still God and still faithful. When He acts, it will not be small or partial, it will be complete and life-changing. One divine move from heaven can turn your waiting into worship and your trials into testimonies. The miracle that is coming will not only answer your prayer, it will redefine your faith and remind you that God's promises never fail. As we reach the end of this message, let your heart remember one powerful truth: God has not forgotten you. Every waiting season, every prayer whispered through tears, and every silent moment has been leading you toward divine fulfillment. You have not been overlooked, you have been prepared. Every test, every delay, every unexpected turn was a piece of God's greater plan to bring you to the place where His miracle can find you. He has been working in silence, shaping your story in ways that will soon make sense. The pain you endured was not wasted. The prayers you prayed were not ignored, and the faith you held onto was not in vain. You are standing on the edge of something sacred, an answer that will exceed every expectation, a breakthrough that will carry the fingerprint of heaven. God specializes in showing up when human strength runs out. He lets things reach their limit so that when His miracle arrives, no one can deny that it was His hand that made it happen. The same God who parted seas, raised the dead, and fed thousands is still working today. The same power that turned water into wine still flows toward those who believe. Your miracle is not lost, it's simply waiting for its appointed time. So, keep your faith alive. Keep praying, even when the words feel heavy. Keep trusting, even when the answers are delayed. Keep believing, because your story is not over. The final chapter is being written by the same God who promised to never leave you nor forsake you. And when your miracle comes, and it will, you will understand why you had to walk the path you did. You will see that every season of waiting was a divine setup for glory. You will realize that God's timing was not late, it was perfect. You will look back and thank Him not only for what He gave, but also for what He withheld, for every door He closed, and for every delay that protected you. Your faith will no longer be just words. It will be living proof that God answers prayer in ways beyond human understanding. As we close, I want to speak gratitude from the depth of my spirit. Thank you for opening your heart to this message, for allowing your faith to be stirred, and for walking this journey of hope with me. Thank you for believing even when life made it difficult to do so. Your endurance, your prayers, and your devotion are not unseen by heaven. You are a testimony in progress, a vessel of purpose, and a living example of what faith looks like in motion. God honors those who trust Him through the storm, and your faith has not gone unnoticed. May you leave this moment with renewed strength and unwavering confidence that the God who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. May peace fill your heart as you wait for what is already on its way. And when your miracle finally arrives, may it remind you that you serve a God who never fails, never forgets, and never stops loving you. Thank you for being part of this message of hope and faith. May your journey be marked by unexpected miracles, divine surprises, and the unshakable joy that comes from knowing you are in the hands of a faithful God.